Hello, everybody. It says we are live, so hopefully it's working. I figured we could go around and just introduce ourselves and then say what we rated the book. So, starting off with Carrie.
Oh gosh, you're gonna have me go first? Oh man. Okay, I'm Carrie. I'm booked for romance. Hi. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I probably have the most unpopular opinion, but I rated the book 2.5 stars.
Carrie. Bold.
Very bold.
Hey
everyone.
Hey DJ.
Hi.
Me?
Yep, Sam, you're up.
Hello, I am Sam from Sam Reads a Little, and I rated it 5 stars. But I think if I was like critically looking at it, 4.5.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Jessen from Jessen Reads Romance, and I rated it 3 stars.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sandra at Sandra's Library, and I gave it 4 stars.
Hi, I'm DJ at DJ Reads Books. I give it 4.5 stars.
Okay, so we're pretty mixed. I am just from Honest Fiction, and I rated it 3.5, 3.75. So I figured we would start by saying I got a lot of questions about the crossover. So was the crossover everything you were expecting, or were you guys looking for a little bit more?
I was trying not to expect too much.
Okay.
Because it's not an ACOTAR book.
Right.
Like, I didn't want those characters to come in and just take over, because then it would be an ACOTAR book and not Crescent City.
Right.
So, I was satisfied with it, and I liked the fact that they did come back into play later in the book. But that's just me.
Anybody else?
I'm trying not to say too much. Like, I feel bad. Like, I don't want to say too much. My biggest question is did she use the crossover? Because this series wasn't as strong as her other series. Like, she pulled it in because she felt like she needed to support this series a little bit. That would be my biggest question.
See, I don't think so. I think upon reread, the breadcrumbs have been there.
Okay.
And she was working on that book for a long time, Crescent City.
See, that's right.
She had it planned the whole time.
Right. I was curious how long she has been working on it, because I didn't know if she just like kind of sat down, she kind of like put it together and then threw it out there, or has she been sitting on this for like multiple years?
I think so. Because I mean, she's done it before in Kingdom of Ash.
Yes, but she was reading like Kingdom of Ash and that whole series since she's been like 17.
Yeah.
So, or 16. Was it 16 or 17? So I feel like she sat on that for like a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just.
I wanted a little bit more from the crossover. I like what we got. Like, I really like seeing so much more Azrael, because I feel like we don't really see him. Like, we see him in ACOTAR, but it was nice having him separate. But I was expecting, just based off the teasers that SJM released, that there would be a little bit more of the ACOTAR characters involved.
Yeah, I would say in the moment, I was definitely bummed out and wanted more cozy moments with the crossover characters. But I mean, it was split into 3 parts. So the whole first part, we did have them, but they were stuck in the catacombs the entire time and pretty much just enemies to each other. And I just wanted something a little bit more.
How did you feel with the characters from ACOTAR, how they treated Bryce? Do you think it was fair or not fair?
I mean, I think it was fair, and I think this tracks with like Rhysand's take on anyone that threatens everything that he loves. So that was pretty on par. So, yeah.
I agree.
I think for me, with the whole crossover situation, that I think threw me off was they only took a dagger. I was hoping they would take a person. You know what I'm saying? Like and I get it though, because you want to keep them separate. You know what I mean? But you could have taken like a character that was like not one of the main characters. You know what I mean? Like she went all the way over there just for a dagger. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, I kept wanting to have that scene where it was just one of the Akatar characters over there, just not knowing what the hell that they were
Yeah.
doing, not what any of this technology was, just being completely baffled by everything. So maybe next
But
time.
that could have been another 100 pages though, because
Yeah.
I'm wondering if she had to like condense it.
Well, she rewrote this book. Like she had it basically written and then scrapped it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh.
I didn't know that either.
I want to know what was going through her head so bad.
I know.
Yeah.
Release that. We need it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I like the crossover personally. I was confused where Cassian was though, for sure. This brings up the point that I don't know if you guys remember, but when they were trying to get Nesta to take off the mask, and she didn't take it off for Cassian, but she took it off for Nyx.
Yes.
I was like, that's really adorable, but also poor Cassian. The enemies part was fair because they didn't know each other. Yeah, agreed.
I agree. Yeah.
And the mask.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as they were going through the catacombs. Like I was telling my friend Jana, she and I were discussing this last night, and how she was wondering why they were so like against each other, right? But at the same time, I'm like, you do realize that they're complete strangers. They don't trust each other, and only that Bryce is like an alien in their world. They don't know what her intentions are, especially as she kept talking about this scary, and they're not. Nesta were like, "Who are you talking about? Who are the Asteri?" And like once they realized they were talking about the same people, then it was like, "Okay, you got to get out of here because we don't want them coming back here." Kind of like they're your problem. They're not our problem. They're in your world, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a fair take by them because they don't want to bring like a huge issue to their world.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
they just got
since they
done
already
fighting an
defeated them.
issue. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, no spoilers. Sorry, guys, if you haven't read Akatar.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, sorry, there was a thought and then it just kind of flew out. The thought just flew away.
Bryce and Hunt's reunion was not epic like it was in Kingdom of Ash and A Court of Wings and Ruin. It was very underwhelming. I agree with this, and I had a lot of people make the comment that this felt more like a fantasy than a fantasy romance. Like it felt more like a fantasy with romance. I kind of agree with that take.
So one thing for me that really bugs me, even in TV, like movies, anything, is when you have this epic battle going on and then you switch over and the characters are just like making out, making all these love declarations. And I'm like, that is not real. In this moment, that's not what you're worried about. So for me, I didn't mind it because I'm like, this is real life. Like Bryce just got back. She's got shit to do. Hi, Hunt. How are you? Let's, get back to it.
See, and then playing off of that, Sam, with Lydia and Ruin having their moment, but her sons were taken, and then they end up having that moment. I'm like, that is like not what I'd be doing at that moment. I would be like, where the heck are my kids? Just like playing off of what you had just said.
Yeah.
But with that said, I could feel it like I guess as also as a parent, like I was thinking like, oh my God, like even like when they were in the castle and like and she's telling Rune, Lydia's telling Rune, just take my kids, save them. Just that's all she was focused on were the boys, were the twins, nothing else. And like even like there was a scene where he's like, oh, I could just like drop them off and come back, but I promised her I will take care of the boys. I'm gonna take care of the boys. I thought it was pretty cool. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I like that too. She's like, take my sons and get out of here. I don't care. Just keep running. I like that.
Yes.
I wonder who is their dad? Did we get that? I don't remember.
We don't know, but isn't
Yeah.
Did everyone Minor Tog, I guess I'm not gonna say what it is, but has everyone in this chat read Tog? Yeah. No? Because there was a name of one of the sons is in Tog,
Yeah.
which is like I thought that was really cool and really exciting.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite reveals for sure.
Yeah, that was like I wish I was vlogging because I was shocked. I just like stared at the page.
I like that fact because it kind of makes you want to, like, I have not read the daunting, what's it, 8-book series. I was like, so I was like, but now, like, I was telling, now, like, reading this book, like, finishing CC3, and I'm like, oh, I definitely need to read Throne of Glass. I just don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I want to read it.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's my second favorite series by SJM.
It feels daunting, but they read really quickly. That's the one thing where this for me felt like it took me 3 days to read this, where it would take me 3 days to read 3 of the Tog books. So it's like,
how did you guys feel about the pacing of this book compared to House of Sky and Breath?
Oof. I struggled. At first I thought it was because I had COVID while I was reading it, but I think it just was because of the info dumps. I think SJM was creative about how she tried to reveal all of this information, but it was still all at once, like drinking from the fire hose, and that just like bogged it down so much. And then, tack on people getting tortured for the first part of the book, first half of the book. It was a lot.
See, and this is what I think too, is like, I base books off of enjoyment. So like I can understand the 4 stars. I can understand the 5 stars because if they really enjoyed the book itself, like yes, absolutely. Those are the ratings. But for me, I was getting bored. So like the info dumps, I tend to zone out and get bored with that because I'm listening to it, which listening and reading are 2 different things when it comes to fantasies. And I've learned that reading is almost better to read a fantasy than it is to listen to it because you're really focusing on like the inner stories to each one instead of like just listening to it and kind of like sometimes I'd tune it out because I'd get bored. You know what I mean? So it's just a different experience, I think, for what I was experiencing.
I didn't mind the pacing in this one, but I was following along and listening to the audiobook.
Yeah.
But upon my reread of Sky and Breath, that book was so slow for me. Like
compared to Sky and Breath, I think this one was much faster paced.
Yeah.
Sky and Breath felt like it dragged way more for me. This one, I do feel like there was enough action throughout the book that it kept me engaged and kept me reading. Sky and Breath felt like I was reading like encyclopedia. It was just way too much information with not a lot going on.
And here's one too, is like because I had to text Jess about the foreshadowing because I was confused. I was like, Jess, the Styria just blew up a human city. Like, what happened? Like, did I miss something? I thought I had missed something. And she's like, no, keep going. That was foreshadowing. And I didn't know that. I'm like, I thought I missed a full chapter. So, like that. And maybe that was just me.
Let's say I'm like so behind on comments. Lydia and Rune stole the romantic show in the book. I agree. Lydia and Rune were my favorite in the book by far.
Me too.
Honestly, those 2 kept me going.
Yep.
Right.
Lydia is GOAT for this whole book.
Yes.
Yes.
This is
Yes,
her
she
book.
was.
She carried this book by far.
Yeah.
The battle scene was just so easy to them. Everything worked out too easy for them. See,
I agree with that. I was telling Jess about when she found the key in the Autumn King's thing that just happened to be there so conveniently. Like that kind of worked out really well when she escaped the Autumn King's like clutches. I was like, that was just really convenient, I agree. Like some of the things worked out a little. I wanted more struggle, especially from Bryce.
I wanted more from the Autumn King. I thought he was gonna get like redeemed or like something, and that didn't happen.
think that was one of the most disappointing things for me, was that I felt like she was building to kind of like he has more of like a secret motivation, and he's not all bad. Like I didn't want him to be like, oh, I've been a good guy all the time, but like maybe he, had a change of heart, and I thought she was working towards that. So whenever he was like mustache twirly evil and then they just killed him, I was just kind of like, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt that way. Like, it seemed like she was hinting that there was going to be some like grand reveal with him. And then,
Either that or redemption arc.
yeah,
Mhm.
something.
I didn't think he was redeemable. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
I
maybe
thought
not.
that, he could have been redeemable through like a sacrifice, through sacrifice.
True.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like I didn't need him to suddenly become a good guy, but I didn't think that I just felt like it was the waste of character. I feel like a lot of the characters were wasted in this book, honestly.
There was
Ethan.
Like,
I
yeah, like plot
hated
device.
Ethan's chapter.
Like why was Sigrid even a character? Like, what was the point of her even?
Yeah.
I was so excited about her when we discovered her in Sky and Breath, and I was like, ooh, this is gonna be fun. And then nothing. She is a plot device for Ethan to be like, oh no, must resurrect her, and like nothing comes of it. I was like, this was the biggest waste of everything. I was so excited for it, and it resulted in nothing.
Right, and not
Do
only
you
that, Ethan was annoying. It was freaking annoying in this book. I was like, "Are you serious? Can I skip? Can I skip this part? Can I skip it?" Oh, I killed her. I'm like, "Come on, dude.
Yeah.
There's other issues.
He
Yes,
was like,
that
they're
sucks.
gonna
So you
hate
killed her.
they're gonna hate me, the heir, and I'm just like, they didn't even know she existed. Like you're being
Yeah,
a little bit too much.
too much.
I know, and the world's ending, and he's trying to figure like that was one thing too. Is like he was so focused on like fixing her, and like the world is ending.
Yeah.
Like you're getting sucked dry of your powers, but like let's focus on trying to fix her. I don't know. It
That's a
just
good point. He was hyper focused on something that wasn't important.
right.
Oh, here you go, Justin. Sorry. I just got to this now, but I was also expecting Amarin to have more of a role because of her history, but
I think that, personally, probably, I mean, I don't watch a lot of, Sarah J. Maas like interviews, and I'm a very new fan, so I don't know a ton about her. And I'm very new to the lore, so I get things wrong all the time. But I think that like maybe she really likes Nesta as a character, and she really likes writing Nesta, and I feel like she wanted to incorporate her into this story, but I don't really feel like Nesta really fit into
This
the
narrative.
crossover. I thought Amron would
Mhm.
have been a much better fit, and I really felt like the way that they got the information felt so quick and easy. And I don't know, I was expecting more from like her, like spending a little bit more time and like digging in like to the library, like this massive vault of knowledge. And the fact that it was a hologram info dump was kind of just like very anticlimactic to me.
I agree with that.
See, bouncing back to like totally off topic of the Autumn King, I would have liked him at the end to sacrifice himself instead of what was her boss's name?
Jessica?
Jessica.
Instead of Jessica. It would have been an ultimate like, I'll take it for Bryce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then him sacrifice himself there. That would have been really cool. I would have been like,
she already did that in Akatar with Feyre and Nesta and Elaine's dad.
oh, did she?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is true. But see, and that's another point is like there was a lot of stuff I saw from like other books in this book too.
Yeah. I felt like
So
Bryce
maybe that's
kind
why
of
she didn't
had
do that way.
personality for a little bit in this book. Like with the secret plots and plans that she wouldn't tell anybody, I'm like, that's Aylin's personality. And I didn't feel like Bryce had her personality at all for the first two books. So it was very like jarring to me. I was just like, it didn't feel like Bryce in this book. And Bryce wasn't a character like when I picked up the first book, House of Earth and Blood. It took me a while to warm up to her as a character, as a protagonist. And then I ended up by really liking her. She was different and I ended up by liking her. And in this book, I did not love her. She was making a lot of choices that felt weird for her character.
I would
with
agree
And
with
I feel like
that.
Hunt and Bryce like they keep a lot of secrets from each other. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like they're
And the way that she basically was like, hey, you've been through a lot of trauma, but I need you to like shut up and just like I need you to be with me. I was like, wow. I'm like, this man was tortured multiple times. I was like, I just don't understand that. Like, he's your mate, he's your love, and you're acting like he's like boohooing over nothing.
And he was
Like-
2 failed rebellions, and his girlfriend died. Like, he has trauma.
He does.
Yeah, he didn't want to go through it again. That's why he was super reluctant.
Yeah, and then he
Didn't
just
want
watched
Yeah.
hand be eaten off. Like a lot of stuff happened, and she would just kind of like stop crying, and I was like, "What?"
I don't know if this is true, but I heard that this whole book takes place within like a week.
Interesting.
Wow.
I think I heard that too.
It makes
I
it
think
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Why Bryce is like, okay, we ain't got time for this.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's
how-
right.
Plus, because she was also on the mission, and she's like, and she did apologize to him later, and I
Yeah.
thought that was great that she did, and it was like a very like sincere like moment. But at the same time, yeah, it was like, come on now, you can at least acknowledge he spent years there, 7 years there, and you're just like brushing off like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think about like Lydia, how she acted when Rune was down there getting tortured and all the plans that she put in place and how like her solution was to blow up the spine and do all this drastic stuff. And then we didn't really get any kind of reaction like that from Bryce. And it's like, I know that this book is supposed to take place over a week and it's only a couple months after the events of like CC1. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's like the relationship between Bryce and Hunt is still new and fresh, and it didn't feel that way. It's almost like the
Yeah.
dynamic to me changed between them.
Yeah. I feel like looking at the series as a whole, I was really very confused when we were at like the final climactic battle scene that like we were already confronting the Asteri as a group because I felt like this wasn't the time to start doing that. Like I felt like it was weird that we're rushing to like let's resolve this kind of Asteri storyline because it felt like the big storyline and I thought that at least it would have waited to the next book, because there's 4 houses and I was like probably it's not going to happen until the 4th book. And so I just felt like everything's rushed, the timeline, not letting the characters breathe.
Develop.
Like I'd rather their relationship develop over the course of months. And like you said, it felt off.
Do you all have any like theories on where book 4 is going to go? Like what can she do? Because I think this book wrapped up pretty well.
It felt like a conclusion. Like
Yeah.
it felt like
Right.
the last book.
It felt very final. I was talking to some people, and we all agreed that it seems like the Ocean Queen might be a big bad, and just her kind of sideways comment to Lydia, like you're free for now, ... type of thing. Like she'll call upon her in the future, and there's still all of that stuff with like the parasite in the water, and I don't want to give
Can't say
more
that I'd
talk.
be excited about the Ocean Queen being the big bad because she just feels so one-dimensional right now. And like with her and her daughter, like that relationship, it just felt so just, I don't know, boring the way that they interacted and the way that she was just like, oh, Therian, I'm going to punish you because you don't want to be with my daughter. And it would just, I don't know. She's not as an exciting villain as like the Asteri as a whole. I just feel like the Asteri were a little bit disappointing in this book and how they were defeated so easily.
Yeah, I found the River Queen boring too, but like the Ocean Queen with her hiding all of her technology, like her submarines and
the
stuff,
yeah.
and then like having, like, I think she has electricity, right? And then it's going to be interesting to see how the world just kind of goes backward. Like, are they going to fall back to Akatar times, not having, first light powered everything? That's, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
I
they're
just
gonna have
hope
to
in the.
create. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna have to create electricity somehow. I guess use water, hydropower, but like you said, First Light was like powering everything. And as she was saying, is it gonna be like Akatar? Full disclosure, I didn't read the series, but I will. All right, I will read
The
Akatar.
Akatar series?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, okay. No
You
worries.
already
Not
know.
everybody
We already
has.
talked about
so-
this. You already talked. You and I already talked about this before. She's been guilting me into reading this series
So
for a
good.
while. I will. I think I'll get to that quicker than throwing a glass. But
Yeah.
One of these comments said they read Throne of Glass in a month, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It took me
That's-
longer than that to read it.
From start to finish in like one period of time, or did you read over years?
I read it once all the books except for one were released. So I think it took me like 2 months.
Okay.
But Carrie, I know you read it when the books were still coming out.
Yeah, I had to wait. I had to hold up. Wait a minute. It was awful.
I found them before I think Tower of Dawn came out, so I had to wait for the last two.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of people are getting bored and frustrated with the info dumps.
I think for me, like if they do a fourth book with CC4, like a CC4 book, I just need the characters to be developed more. Something I did appreciate with Throne of Glass is they introduced characters gradually and we got backstories to them and things like that. I feel like she threw a lot of characters in there and they're here. You know what I mean? Here's a character, and you got nothing like when, what is it? Theron married his wife or whatever, or what I knew nothing about her. You know what I mean? Like, and of course you introduce characters, but then at the end of the series, I still don't know anything about her really. Like, I know she's the brother to sorry, I don't know names very well, but she's the brother to the other guy.
Sister to, is it a Flynn?
Yeah, Flynn.
Yes, but that's all I know about her or could remember about her. I don't know. Did we know anything else about her?
I don't think so.
That she's reluctant, party girl. She doesn't want to get married.
And she has an ex-boyfriend at the meat market, so she has beef with the Viper Queen. So that could be, the next book too. If we get a many
I
waters.
want more from the Viper Queen. I feel like we didn't get a lot of her history at all.
I just don't know what her end game is.
Yeah.
Because she just kind of does all these bad things and then just sits back and sees how it plays out.
Right. She double crosses everybody and then she's like, let's just set fire to everything and see what happens.
Yeah.
I did love the sprites though.
Yeah, I was just thinking
that was my favorite part. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
See, I could see them being like the ultimate good guys. All the sprites going out everywhere being the good guys.
But going back to what you were saying, Carrie, I feel like the first book did a really good job with characters.
Right.
And then the next two is when it really dropped the ball. Because I was attached to Lahaba, rings, all of them. But this book it just felt rushed.
Yeah. I totally agree. The first book's still my favorite. I read, all the books leading up to this one, and I cried again whenever Lahaba made her sacrifice.
Every time.
This is so good. This was just such a good, climax to the whole book, and it just felt like I don't know, felt like such a good start to the story, and it just kind of dropped off after that. I felt like she was doing too much, and like Carrie said, introducing too many characters without giving them time to breathe and us to get attached to them first before, moving on to a different group. And I felt like that's what dragged this book down. Because I'm not a person who dislikes multiple POVs. I'm fine with it, but not all the POVs, we didn't spend a ton of time with all of them. So not all of them were as equally interesting.
Right.
Agree.
In Throne of Glass, when you guys, if you haven't read it yet, you'll see you get attached to 90% of characters.
Yeah.
Which that's why I was like, that's where
I always wanted to skip Kale's chapters. I was like, I don't need this POV.
I liked Kale.
Weirdly, Tower of Dawn ended up being one of my favorite books.
Yeah, I like Tower of Dawn too. I did too.
I hated Tower of Dawn. It's the only one I haven't reread.
Well, the only reason why I got attached to it is because we had to wait. So I learned to appreciate it because we didn't get all 7 at once. We had to go as you go.
I still because originally it was supposed to be a novella.
Yes.
And then you a big old book, and I'm like, I can't do this. Someone said the fourth is probably Therion's story. I cannot.
No.
I cannot have a whole book with Therion.
One of the things I did like about CC3, because I feel like someone said this in a review, you rate Sarah J. Maas on a different scale than everybody else, which I agree with, because she is her own powerhouse, and I totally agree with that too. But I did like the Seri as villains, them poisoning the water to grab there are so many amazing things to this story that I don't know if and it could have just been me reading it, but if she would have just, for me personally, if she would have developed this for another month or two or something, I just feel like it would have been a different read for me. Or if I go reread it again, because everybody's saying their second reread is better. So I don't know. Like maybe I don't know.
With everything that went on in this book, she probably could have split it up, and like the end battle could have been like it was.
Right.
Yes. And I would, going off this comment, I think Lydia, if Lydia was like the main character of the next book, 100% I'm in, because I feel like there's so much to go with her history, her life as a double agent, all of those things.
Do you think, I'll try not to spoil, but do you think if that is how she goes, that will
I think we're going to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm so excited if that is the case. So
because here's one, like, you know, the next book is going to be Akhtar, you know that, but what book do you think is going to be after that? Because she already said CC4 is going to be way down the line. So way down the line,
did she?
meaning
I
like,
thought it was after Akatar. I thought it was going to be after this Akatar book. Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, is she saying way down the line as in like 2 years from now? Because she's only been releasing one book a year. So Akatar.
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be an in-between book between
really?
CC4 and Akatar. But that is a theory. I don't know.
This is a good point. I didn't think of that, Lizelle. And I don't understand how Bryce took the mask off so easily when it gave Nesta such a hard time.
Well,
I
and
think
it's.
I don't like that he was able to.
No. I interrupted you, Sam. Go ahead.
No, Jessen was.
Oh, sorry.
We all wanted to say something about this.
Go ahead, Jessen.
I was just saying I don't like that Bryce was able to use a mask, period. And I'm not the biggest Nesta fan. I grew to appreciate her. I like reading Silver Flames. But one of the things that I loved about Nesta was her control over the Dread Trove, and the fact that Bryce was able to wield it and then by proxy Hunt as well felt so wrong to me. I was just like, I
Right.
don't understand why. It felt less powerful and less special, and I just didn't like it.
Right, because when she wields it in the next Akatar book, I'll be like, well, there's 2 other people in the next story that can read that, wield that too. So
It just
You're
felt
not
too.
that special.
yeah, exactly.
Right? It was so annoying.
I mean,
Sorry.
in Ethan and Therion's defense, they offered a lot of levity that I thought was needed because of their poor decision making.
They're very
But Therion had a special way of doing it, though. I appreciated Therion so much, running away from everybody and making bad deals. Like, he was a favorite for sure.
He's out of control.
He is.
This, like,
I like-
especially in book 1, I think he was so kind of like charming and like you're like, who is this guy? And then in book 2, he kind of fell off a little bit for me.
Uh-huh.
And in this book, I'm like, I just cannot.
He lost all the mystery and all the charisma.
Like, they gave him like one job through this whole book. And because when he was taking the vials,
Right.
at the very end, and they break. I mean, I know it wasn't his fault, but it's like, come on.
He just reminds me
True.
such of a hot mess.
Yeah, I liked how the River Queen kind of dressed him down too. Remember when she was like, "Oh no, you're not marrying my girl. No."
Yeah.
I forgot. Did she say you only look? She called him something like he's so desperate only for himself or something like that.
Oh,
And I was like, it's true. He only is concerned with himself and no one else.
right.
He's just so short-sighted. Like when he was telling the River Queen that he would divorce Sathya and marry her daughter, and Sathya
Right.
just like turned to like, excuse me? Like, when are you gonna inform me of this? It's just
Because she was there to help him. She's like, I'm gonna go with you to help you. And then he's just like, boop.
Like she was invested too. She was like, okay, I think I can get around to liking you. Like you can feel like they're kind of liking each other. Then, like you said, you just throw her away. It's like that.
This is slightly unhinged, but I felt like Bryce and Azrael were flirting a little bit in the very beginning of the book. And I made a note and I was so about it, and then it ended up not being anything. But I want to know if anyone else kind of picked up on that.
there was weird tension. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well,
I wonder if that had.
because No, never mind. I'm thinking of Grease.
I'm curious though if they have weird tension because he had the dagger and she had the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I
They
had
were
like,
drawn to one another.
Right.
Drawn.
I had this whole
Wait.
theory that like we were actually going to find out more about Asriel.
See, I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been amazing too.
Yeah.
Well,
This would have
maybe.
been nice. I would have
Sorry.
liked a scene between Bryce and Reese after finding out they were related.
We really didn't get a lot. Like it was never mentioned again that Rune and Reese look alike.
I feel like she like hammered that home like from the first moment that we had the crossover at the end of Sky and Breath. It was like, oh my God, this looks like my brother. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be like a little big thing to see that they're
Right.
related some, and it wasn't.
No.
I mean, I think, and that's why I think my rating's a lot lower too, is because I feel like in my mind, she missed some opportunities. And I'm like, you
Potential.
could have done it. And I'm not saying I'm not a writer, so I'm not an expert at all, but I wish she would have like if Rune and Reese like somehow could have been related at some point, you know, that would have been cool.
That's very true. I was disappointed there's no reaction to Bryce's photo with her friends in the phone case. That was brought up. It seemed like it was going to be important, and I don't think it's brought up again.
I don't think so.
Why was he
Yeah.
called the Autumn King, by the way?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I don't know if we got an answer to that.
Is it because of the court? It has something to do with the court or something? Am I wrong?
No, that I feel like that falls more for Akatar.
Yeah.
Well, if he came from the Autumn Court.
I mean,
I thought we were going to find out he was like an ancestor from Baron or like something like that, but like none of that.
I feel like in one of the info dumps, they had talked about how, you know, they brought over people from other courts, not just Dusk. So I just assumed it was someone from Autumn.
Yeah.
Well, and I do wish we could have gotten more from him, the Autumn King, because he knew so much more. Like he said, well,
Oh yeah.
it was in book 1 where he's like, our magic is like dying out.
Yeah.
And he was doing all that research.
Yeah.
Like he was sitting there studying Rune, all his stuff and everything. Like what was the research he was doing? Like
Yeah.
I don't think the next book won't be Bryce and Hunt like Silver Flames. The fourth is probably Therian's story. That's what we're all worried about. Did you guys catch the Vogue, Intog, and Asteri are the same? Yeah, I think that's going to be.
I feel like, yeah, the princes and Tog or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so disappointed, because I felt like they were so much more sinister in Throne of Glass.
They are 100%.
They did not feel as sinister in this book at all.
No.
They felt like they just outthought everybody. Like they weren't. I didn't feel danger. I just felt like they were smarter than everybody.
Right.
I wanted more about the Princes of Hell too,
Yeah.
especially with Ariadne.
I thought they were going to play more of a part in this book.
Yeah, we really didn't get much.
I mean, how many of them have we met? Like just 3 of the 7?
What did you guys think about Hunt's reveal for his history, for his father? Is that what you were expecting? Were you wanting more?
Was not expecting that at all.
I think it would have worked better if we would have actually spent time with the Princes of Hell.
I was gonna say, like,
Exactly.
I didn't really care.
I was like, okay, that's a thing, but how does it enhance Hunt's character and how does it enhance the story? And it didn't. So, like, I feel like a lot of the marks, the potential is there. There's so many could have been done and could have made me feel more attached to the characters or to the story where she's bringing us. And I just felt like everything was just so rushed.
Because he was essentially created to be a weapon, right? Like, I feel like that should have been really shocking. And it was just so much was going on that nothing really hit.
No.
Right. I feel like her twists that were meant to be twists weren't as like, oh my gosh, as all the others, like mic drops as they used to be.
Yeah.
I wish she would have been the son of the white cat or the cat. Who was the cat again?
I always say Adidas, but that's not his name. Adius.
I wish Hunt would have came from him. You know what I mean? He came from the other princess, like not him.
I just felt bad that he didn't have an actual like dad and ended up being like this science experiment type of thing.
Jen says, if the Asteria are really gone, I'd be super surprised. I mean, they got sucked into a black hole. I don't know how else.
Come back, then it would be like, you know, I don't know. She would have to finagle some crazy theory about how they survive a black hole. And then what was the point of the whole battle scene if they just survived the black hole, you know?
Well, here's my question. Weren't there multiple series? This was just 6 of many, right? Like that's how I read it.
And they're migratory, like galactic.
Yeah.
Right. So like I have a feeling other books will be seeing these people. Just saying.
I didn't think of that. I just kind of assumed they were all on the same planet, but it's very possible, maybe.
Huh.
Maybe these are just like the loser outcast Asteria.
Yeah.
They're not even the worst ones.
The worst ones are super lazy and get some real cool bad guys.
I think Lydia and Rune should have their own book. 100%.
Yes. I'm there with you.
Yeah, speaking of the black hole, like I feel bad saying this, but I heard someone else say it and I kind of agree with them. If Bryce would have got sucked in the black hole, I would not have been sad.
I think I voice memoed that to you. I was just like, the ending of that.
Wait, that was you. Was that you, Jess? That was you, right? Okay, sorry. Jess had said that to me. I was like, okay, see, I forget who says things to me at this point.
Because if you compare it to the ending of ACOTAR, like that was almost traumatic. But the ending of this, I was like, oh, she sacrificed. Greater good. It's all good. Like, I wouldn't have been nearly as upset.
Right. I would have been more upset if Lydia or Rune passed away than I would have if something happened to Bryce.
She developed those characters a lot better than she did Bryce and Hunt. Both as a romance and them just as characters, honestly.
Yeah, that story was really awesome.
I
mean, I up into 3 stars just for that story.
It's possible that Nesta is starborn, like pureblood, and that's why it worked for Bryce, the mask. It's a possibility.
Yes, that makes sense.
That
when she put it on, she was like fully aware of everything that was going on when she had the mask on. So it can make sense.
Yeah. Spawn of Nesta, yeah. I think it mentioned that only someone from their airline could use the sword knife. So I think Azrael has some interesting possible family connections. That's a good theory.
I like that.
I think the real missed opportunity was there was no wing play with Finlar. Oh.
That's funny.
Did they explain why they teleport during it? Was that talked about? Was there any explanation for that?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Since Amryn and Fury look alike, why didn't Nesta ask about Fury in the photo? That's what who is Fury question should have been answered during Bryce's story.
Fury is Eli's character. She was like made to be this big thing in book 1 and just done nothing with her.
Yeah.
That's what I was just going to say. Fury and Juniper, where'd they go? Like literally it's like they were there and then they were gone. Like I wish those girls would have came back and like
I think they were protecting the city, but I wish, why wouldn't you bring Fury with you if you're about to do this? Like,
yeah, Fury's a badass. You know?
Yeah,
like,
this whole mission.
Well, and it's kind of, I keep bringing up ACOTAR, but in Wings and Ruin, when that big battle scene and you have 2 of them that are just sitting on the hill, like watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same back.
Why? How about?
This is perfect. Where did Fury's kick-assing go? So disappointing.
Yeah.
These aren't the only Astari, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree.
These Astaris are rejects.
Probably.
Oh, no.
I also thought the lady that Bryce woke up from the tomb with Nesta was so easy to kill. I was thinking she would show up again later on. This scene was really anticlimactic to me.
I felt like they shouldn't have found her. I felt like that should have been like a reveal like in an ACOTAR book. Like that.
Yes.
I don't feel like she should have been found and defeated. I feel like she should have popped up whenever we get the next ACOTAR book.
And we could have had one of the princes of hell give all this information, like
100%.
to save her from having to go there. Like, why didn't that just happen?
Because they knew the whole time.
Yeah, they knew everything. They
Right.
could have just.
And I think their theory was you weren't ready, but I'm like, they're
Yeah.
attacking us. We're dying. We're ready.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you want me to do?
Right. I'm glad we're on your time frame at this
Definitely.
point. You're telling us to join you, but not giving me any information of why.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking. The reason why, you got to think about it. When she was in the catacombs with her, I feel like at that point they were just ready to kill each other. So I'm glad they found this room, right? This room, and they were able to figure out like Celine and how the worlds were connected. Like I think hearing it, like having it revealed right then, where you have Azrael and Nesta, and then you have Bryce on the other side. It's different than if the princess would have said it. I think it landed or impacted better or stronger. I think
Right.
personally.
Yeah.
I agree. With
I
that.
agree with that.
Azrael has been linked to Rune's mom's side with the shadow gifts. I kept getting confused with that because the history. So it was the two daughters, and then one of them ended up staying in
Right.
the not Lunathian,
Akatar world.
Akatar world. The other one went into the other one with Peleus, and Rune is descended from that line, I believe. Maybe no.
I don't quote me on it because I don't know.
I don't know about that.
That's what I got from it, and that's how he has
Because
the shadow
then
gift.
that would mean the Autumn King descended from her too.
I think he descended from the line with Peleus and the daughter.
Okay, then yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, because there was a second branch who was the cousin, and he was the one that did all the shadows, right?
Yeah, the one who blew up himself.
Cormac?
Yeah, Cormac. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Cormac.
Cormac.
So that's why I think Azrael is a lot like Cormac with the shadows and whatnot.
But Rune has shadows too, doesn't he? He had shadow power.
Like a little bit.
A little bit, not much, but I think I'm pretty sure he
Okay,
did.
yeah, it's hard because all I know is like he had a little starburst.
Yeah.
A little starburst, just a little bit.
Like little starburst.
Yeah. So what do you think of all the feminism in this book? I'm curious because I was feeling like Bryce was like screw the men. Like she was done with the Fae anyway, but like screw them, because she's not allowed to be on the island. She's not allowed to, step
Right.
in. Yeah, that was like a big thing for me reading it. I'm the only guy here, but like for me, I was like, whoa.
I liked it. I like that she's like, I don't care what you guys want. I'm going into this library and getting what I freaking need. Like, I love that stuff. More power to her. Like, I liked Bryce for that, for being that character.
And then also at the end when she's like, yeah, there are no more, like, what do they call them? Like the high fae or
High
whatever.
lords and stuff.
Yeah. She's like, there's no more. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, they're just going to listen to you now.
See, and that's a good thing too, Sam, because you're like, oh, CC4. I think a big dilemma is going to be is the government and who's going to be running everything now that she's dissolved all that. That's going to be an overlying issue of like who's going to try to take over.
Yeah, I also think that possibly in book 4 we might get other people, like people in Crescent City world trying to go back to where they actually came from.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. And Bryce is the only one that could open the door, so I'm sure that's going to be a huge dilemma too.
And there's going to be Pegasus flying around everywhere.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Man.
I rolled my eyes so hard.
I love the Pegasus. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to up it to 3 stars just for the friggin' Pegasus. Who's written about Pegasus yet? Nobody, right? Am I wrong? Am I
Was
right?
it supposed to be a callback to like Jelly Jubilee? Was that what we were
That's
doing?
how
With, like,
Wait, what'd you say, Justin?
I said that's how I interpreted it. That it was just supposed to be like a little, extra for Bryce being obsessed with the Jelly Jubilee.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie though. If she pulls a Pegasus in here, I'm okay with that. I rarely see Pegasus anymore in books.
Along with the little otters, I'll take it.
I love the
Yeah.
otters so much.
Mhm.
They were my favorite. This was an interesting comment. don't know if this is already touched on, but didn't Bryce bleed in Prithian's water source with the parasite in her blood?
Oh.
But how
We don't know how the
Oh.
parasite works, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
That
Like-
would be interesting because
Like
they.
constant dump of the parasite in the waters, or does it replenish itself? Like what? Yeah, that wasn't really explained.
Yeah, because she was spreading blood everywhere in Akatar.
It took me a while to catch on to what she
it
was
took me so long. I thought she
I
had an
didn't get it
injury
until
that
they
was, like,
actually explained it.
poison. Yeah, I was embarrassed of how long it took me.
I know.
No, that was a good twist.
Yeah,
But then she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and save them now. I'm like,
I liked that though, because
yeah.
I liked it.
No, I liked it because it made me think it through. Like, she's like, oh crap, now I need to go back.
Yeah.
I completely
She
agree
saw
with
that
it.
like Faye could be good people. Like they're good people. I need to save them. I can't just leave them.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's say the positive thing of CC series for me is the introduction of the Princes of Hell. I need a series about them. That would be
Yes.
really cool.
I would read a series about them.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, any sort of demon, anything like that, count me in.
Like as in Reach the Shadows are different.
See, I thought that too. Like
See, the
one
Shadows
is
talk to Az, but I don't know
Right.
if there's any other difference besides that.
where I feel like isn't Reese is more like harmful and Az's is more like informational. I don't know.
But then you have Apollyon who has shadows as well because he was watching Hunt in the dungeons. Like he kept feeling that shadow watching him too. So I don't know. I do want to know more about the Princes of Hell though.
I thought Rune inherited his powers from his mom, and that's how he's cousins with Cormac. Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Yeah, because Bryce and Rune had different mothers.
That's Rune's related to Cormac, though, his mom, and that's how he has the shadow power.
Okay.
But wasn't that shadow power still passed down from Prince Pelion and whatever that queen's daughter is, and like their forced children on this side?
I think so.
I'd be
One of their
You
names
guys
is
would know better than I would.
Yes, it's I always get them mixed up, but there's Queen something,
Yeah.
and there's
I'm not. Hang on.
Sorry,
was
that
it like
was
Helena?
a
I
comment.
say it, Helena and
Helene.
Yeah.
Thea.
Thea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
See, and that's something Sarah J. Maas always does. She always writes strong female characters. Like
Mhm.
she'll always be a favorite because she does that really well.
I do feel like she did a little bit go too hard on girl boss without like backing it up. Like that's one of the things that like I didn't love Aelin. Like she wasn't my favorite character of Throne of Glass because she always felt like she knew better than everybody else. And what I liked about Bryce in the beginning is I felt like she did kind of rely on other people and she was like a little bit more attached emotionally, you know, with the Danica thing, like how close they were and how much her death affected her. And I don't know, I felt like that was for me a personal thing where I felt like she had a personality transplant. So it didn't
Yeah.
as like impactfully for me when Bryce was being like all girl boss because I was just like it just felt like a personality transplant to me.
I was thinking more like Lydia.
Lydia's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lydia
Some of
was
those other girls.
perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm doing history while you're.
No, that's okay. We're just reading comments too.
Yep. Bryce was so mature to me in this. I thought it was ridiculous of Bryce to condemn an entire race of people, the Fae, over the actions of a few terrible people in power. I mean, she's 25.
Yes, but you gotta think of all the people in power. Like
She's
they
never
all
had the
have a negative like like it wasn't like anyone did anything good. I mean,
Right.
people that is presented to her. You know what I mean?
Well, and what was it in the first book or maybe the second book? When they released all those creatures from hell and the Fae literally like closed their doors.
Oh, yeah. That was the first
Right.
book.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
they
the
haven't
first
seen. She hasn't seen.
I'd hold a grudge too.
See,
Yeah,
I was
mean,
just
brother
about
was
to say
always-
this comment right here. Yeah, Danica had so many freaking secrets. Like, how many more secrets can Danica freaking have? Like,
I feel like Bryce didn't even know Danica. Like they couldn't have spent that much time together. She's going to school. She's running all of these undercover missions. Like she had a mate.
She had a mate. That's when I
father.
vlogged my reread of the second book. I'm like, all this book is they're horny and Danica keeping secrets. Like that's all Spine Breath was.
well, it's so funny, but I'm like Jessica or Jess just said, like, did she even know her friend? Because I get a few secrets, but the amount of secrets Danica had could have been a whole different person at this point. Like, it was literally like,
Should have been Fury. The stuff that Danica knew in book 2, like all of like the sleuthing and she was discovering secrets, like Fury should have been the one. Like she seems like she had the personality. She seems like a
right.
spy character. And I was like, I don't know why that was given to Danica and Danica sharing those secrets and never talking to Bryce about it.
Right. I felt like she just kept adding things that Danica would know. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Danica can know that. You know, like,
And the horn and all that in book 1, I think that's fine. But like the book
right.
Danica secrets, I felt like it was overkill, and I was like, this would have been better served if like Fury was like, hey, I've been undercover for a long time, and like this is what I've uncovered, and like introduce Fury as a character. She's there and she's alive.
And she's cool. She's a
Yeah.
cool character.
Supposed to be cool.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's just not leave the cool characters hanging.
I would have preferred that Bryce knew she had found her mate, but that she couldn't tell her who it was. Yeah, I would have liked that too. But Rune was Fae. How could Bryce forget him and condemn all Fae? I think she just had so many negative experiences.
Right.
Like,
and you gotta realize she is part Fae, so she's kind of daddy issues. Hello, her dad he left her behind. He was just rude, you know. I mean, that explains a lot of it. That's why she hates the Fae, mostly because her dad is such a negative person.
yeah, and they just treated her terribly.
Yeah.
With 800 pages, there was surprisingly a lot of telling, not showing with characters and relationships, especially with Danica and Bryce.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Fury and Amryn are linked.
I would think cool. Amryn and the Asteria were linked. I don't know why. Used to be linked because there was a bigger being in her. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. Sorry.
You can say as much as you want, friend. I'm going to read it anyway. Read it.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to say too much. I'm not saying anything else.
Friend, the books have been out for years. You can say it.
I know, but I just in case anybody else watches this play.
Amryn said she picked a form she liked. I think that's what Fury is. Like the form?
Like
like what she looks like.
Okay.
Oh, I get you.
What did you all think about Hypaxia's arc?
Oh, that girl. She was a real one. She is a real one.
Yeah.
Right, come on. I'm like, the Cure? Hello. She did her magic.
Right.
I mean, she kind of screwed up what's her name?
The wolf.
Yeah, but
yeah.
We'll let it slide
just a little bit. And she did break things off with Celestina as well, like
which I appreciate.
I liked that actually. Yeah.
But for real, I mean, they were connecting at the end a little bit.
Yeah, they were. But I'm happy that there were some like repercussions that she was like, "Hey, I don't like that you did this." And
right. But I also like that, like, she had to go to, like, the House of Death or what? Wait, what? The House of Shadows? Because she got kicked out over here, so she had to go over here. So now she's kind of like in limbo. So I'd love to see where she goes.
She's like the head of the house now.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Did anyone notice the discrepancy about Amryn in the prison?
I heard people talk about it and I didn't notice it myself while I was reading, but I have seen other people bring it up.
Oh, I want to hear this. Does anybody know in the comments?
She's got it down here.
Amryn like didn't like remember or whenever she got to the prison, like she didn't remember things. And then when the flashbacks or whenever the info dump with Thea was, she like built the prison. So they were talking about like the discrepancy of like why Aaron had to have known where she was before, like maybe she put herself in prison and she has these memories and she's lying about not having the memories.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
So they'll probably like go into that more in the next ACOTAR book.
Maybe.
I feel like, I mean, if that's a pretty big discrepancy then
Right.
because she has to have people that like notice this stuff. Like she pays people to, you know?
Although I saw a TikTok that was this book had like the most discrepancies in terms of like what people are wearing or like little inconsistencies like that than any of her other books. So I don't know if she has a new editor or what happened.
That could be.
But even after learning that Danica was Fae, she was still against them, felt too forced. The time limit of Amryn being in the present did not match up from what we were told in ACOTAR versus the story of what we were told in Cisse. Okay, so what you guys said. Yeah, I'm interested in how that's going to work. I was confused after reading because I felt like it was a weird plot point. Yeah, I feel like that is so big. Like someone would have had to figure that, like see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. I'm looking at the questions that other people said. Oh, who do we think is on the cover?
You know,
Yeah,
I
I was
figured
staring
that out
at it
like
yesterday.
the whole
Who
series.
is that?
Heroes. Who do y'all think that is?
I guess Viper Queen because the snake, but that's the only.
But it's the same as book one.
I think it is the same as book one. Yeah, I have no idea.
My guess is like the goddess Word or Erd.
Yeah,
Because
it
they
can't
made
be
such a big deal
because
about
she
that.
has long fingernails and everything. Like it's
And she has
definitely
the word
somebody's-
marks on
But
her.
isn't
then
the
is this-
second one Hunt?
Yeah, she does.
Is this Hunt?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
So
That's
is Hunt.
Hunt.
So
Or
then
it
this
could be
is Erd as
Thor.
well?
Is this what she would look like when she made the drop? I don't know.
unless this isn't Hunt and it's like Hunt's ancestor or something.
Yeah.
That's
They
possible.
also talk about like the many-faced goddess too. So I wonder if like Word or the many-faced goddess are like the same thing.
That makes me think of Game of Thrones. Many faces.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed that the citizens of CC weren't told they were different species of Fae. I do like that they brought in both Fae though, from Tog and from ACOTAR. I thought that was really cool.
Didn't they like send out a broadcast though to tell people?
Oh, I don't know.
I know for sure they talked about the first light in the broadcast, and
Yeah.
I mean, I assume they would say,
Like
about
you're not
Like,
from
by the way,
Right.
I feel like SJM didn't have a development editor for the series, possibly. Maybe she is such a big author now. It's a possibility. She has a little bit more freedom.
possibility that people are like, oh, your books do well. We're not going to mess with your process. I mean, that could totally happen.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Having a child messes up your brain, so I don't judge.
Oh,
Agreed.
Lydia.
Yeah.
Lydia. Yeah.
In ACOTAR, Amryn said she was put in the prison before the. Oh, we're going back to the thing. She said the hologram thing that she created the prison after all. Huh. That is a huge discrepancy.
So that's people were saying, like, was it on purpose and is Amryn lying? Or was it an accident and there was a discrepancy with the timeline that she didn't notice?
Yeah, I feel like someone would have said something like that. I feel like
Yeah.
that has to be intentional. There's no way no one noticed that.
Is
Lydia
Amryn a liar?
not, she's secretive, but I wouldn't say she's a liar.
Yeah.
I mean, you still don't really know a whole lot about her, so
I could see her keeping secrets because she's ashamed of her past, and that's why she lied, because we don't know anything about her past. So
Yeah.
maybe she's done a lot of bad things that she doesn't want to admit to.
Possible. Would Lydia being thrown in with Ethan and Tharian's centered fourth book save it? There was a lot of Lydia.
yeah.
You're like, no, please no.
like 90% Lydia.
But the fact that you mentioned that one of the sons is like mentioned in Tog, right? Is that
Yeah.
what you said? So
Yeah.
maybe they probably want to, kind of like go with that connection and to explain how that connection is made. I don't know.
I'm
sure.
interested to see what she does because I feel like that had to have been on purpose that that person has the same name as someone in Tog. So should be good.
Carrie would be happy.
Someone actually asked, they were like, how many Tog Easter eggs did you find? There was 2 different questions that were kind of like that. I only found like 2 or 3.
I wasn't looking. Like, that's the problem, is I wasn't really focused. I was so concerned about like what was happening in the book and trying to figure out stuff that I didn't have like mentality to like for things from Tog.
I know Lydia has a lot of similarities to Aelin.
Yeah, and then obviously the name, and then when they were in the House of Shadows, when they were saying that Erd is word, like where I'm from, she's word.
Yeah.
That was in there. And then McKay, I was talking to her about it, and she said that even where Cormac was from when they went over there, I forget what was the name?
Valen.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that there was another like island or something in Throne of Glass that was like shrouded in mist, the same way that one was. But I didn't remember that.
Oh, they did mention that. They mentioned that.
That's cool.
Well, and then even like the stags.
Yeah.
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 Was it Lydia Stag?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to go back to that world soon.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like worried about more crossover because this crossover felt disappointing. So I'm like,
yeah,
maybe
I'm
this
like
is working up to like this huge thing. I don't know.
I feel
because
like
these could be like the littlest dairy and then the biggest dairy come and they need multiple houses to help type situation.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to have all 3 worlds like converge to fight the Asteri.
like an Avengers moment, right?
Yes, that's what I was
The
expecting.
problem is she hasn't developed this world enough to have the Avengers moment because we're not going to care as much about Crescent City characters as we do about the Akatar and the Throne of Glass characters. So I feel like, again, the story being so rushed, like I want an Avengers moment and I want it to be great, but like let the Crescent City world breathe a little bit before you.
Yeah, well, if we have an Avengers moment, all I'm saying is if something happens to Bryce.
Somebody found 5?
Found 5, yeah.
5 connections.
I'm okay with it.
Did anyone feel that Ethan becoming Prime and Hypaxia becoming the Underking came way too easily? I think it happened in like a chapter, right? Both of those things were pretty.
Everything was just pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah. Wait. Hypaxia became the Underking and then Ethan. Yeah, and they were the ones always hanging out together.
Yeah.
For the whole book. So it was kind of fascinating that happened to both of them.
I feel like I need to reread Akatar now. I need to be like a detective with my string and connect all the dots. Yes.
Listen.
Well, see, and a lot of things is, the gates are going to play into something. The word keys are going to play into something. Like she left the big clues for people like me. So I'm like, it hits you in the face,
One of the Easter eggs.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the Easter eggs that on rereading Throne of Glass, like in the second book, there's a character, Baba Yellowlegs, and she made a throwaway comment about waterways leading to other worlds. And so that one, like you picked up on it with the Ocean Queen whenever they were talking about the ancient ruins and stuff below sea. So if we do get a CC4 and it's many waters, like there has to be that big Avengers moment coming.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Especially if they could all access the worlds. Because I don't think Bryce is going to be the only one that's going to be able to like world hop.
Yeah. Like even the Pegasus that I'm trying not to say too much about Akatar, but Helion, when he rode in to the nice Tamlin little.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, that's
the
right.
black
You're
Pegasus.
Right. He's on a Pegasus. Yeah. But it's like that's the only time you get to see them, like occasionally.
SJM in an interview has said next to Akatar, and then after the book, she's very excited for the characters she can't wait to return to, but wouldn't say more than that. I think it's Tug. Yeah, I definitely think it's Tug.
Yep. That's I know there's an
Totally.
in-between books, and she said CC4 is down the line, so I have a feeling too. I just worry about her going back to Tog because Tog ended so perfectly. Like, I don't want her to mess with a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I'd kind of rather her just like branch out and do something like completely different.
agreed.
Like
I
even
agree
when
with
she
that.
wraps all of this up, like let's do something different.
Else.
New.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because I don't want to ruin the characters I already like love
Thank
and
you.
have in my head. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really thought the Inner Circle was gonna help Bryce defeat the Asteri. Same.
I wish she would have just taken Amaranth. Like, all of that for a dagger.
Hot take, I actually like Ethan and Tharian, but I think their stories just needed more time.
Yes, agreed. So
Yeah.
much development need to happen. Like Justin said, it just needed to slow up and like really simmer.
If this ends up happening, I will lose my little mind.
Yes,
Yes.
I will lose it too.
The things that I felt like was not closed out well whenever I read Kingdom of Ash, I was like, but I need more of them. I was missing them. So if it's that, yes, be so excited.
Right.
I will take off work for that book. I didn't for this one, but that one I will take off work and just enjoy.
Just enjoy
I
it for the day or two.
All right. Well, we were here an hour. I wanted to stop at like an hour and 15, but do you guys have any final thoughts on the book or anything else you want to discuss real quick?
All I want to say is reading is subjective. So if you really love this book, I can understand why. Okay. Like don't come in here because if we said negative things, like if you guys love this book, and there's some books out there that I really love that get 2 stars from people, and I'm like, I don't care. I love this book.
Yeah.
So just if you loved it, that's
I think,
great.
I mean, like I said at the beginning, if I'm looking at this critically, I would lower my rating. But I like Bryce and I like Hunt, and this book had me like laughing. It had me on the edge of my seat. It had me crying. Like if an author can pull that out of me, I had a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. And you mentioned like you rate Sarah on a different level. Not that her books aren't good, but she's one of my favorite authors, so I'm going to be a little bit more lenient with her.
See, I'm the other way. She's one of my favorite authors, so I'm going to be more critical.
I rate her against herself. I'm like, but she did this well in the other series and not the same in this series. So that's kind of a downfall because I was expecting to be a little bit more surprised and a little bit more like, oh my God, this came together so well because she has woven threads in other books so well in the past. So I'll be a little bit more cohesive, and to me it was. But I still enjoyed it. I didn't dislike the book. I was just wanting more.
Yeah. And I feel like we've seen some of Sarah's best. Like we've seen the best of the best. And in my mind, like nothing will compete with a couple books in Throne of Glass, and nothing will compete with A Court of Mist and Fury. Like for me, that is her best of the best. So like if you're competing with that, for me, this didn't hold up. But for others, it was better. So you just,
I mean, also in Sarah's defense, I feel like this was her first foray into trying to pack all of this epic stuff happening into 3 books rather than having like up to 8 as the other series, get to. So it's going to be,
But at the same time, I feel like ACOTAR, the original 3, I still like the original 3 ACOTAR.
Yeah, they have
loads more than Crescent City, the 3 books, not counting Silver Flames or the other companion novel. So I feel like she can do it in 3 books. I just didn't like this as much.
Do you think if she had taken out Ethan and Tharian's POV in like all the books
and spent more time with the characters, I think that would have helped a lot.
Yeah. I think cutting out some pages would have been nice too.
Because not to compare it to ACOTAR again, but like you love every side character in ACOTAR, or at least you have a good understanding of them. And I feel like we didn't get that here.
It's a more tight group, and this one was just a little bit too expanded.
Agreed.
Right. But I could see what she's doing though, because the plot itself holds up to any fantasy novel. Like I think she's trying to compete with like a Brandon Sanderson or like some of the bigger fantasy people. And I could see, and she wants to start appealing to like a bigger range of like age groups and stuff. So I could see where she's going with it.
Yeah, I could see it too. I just think she introduced some characters too early in the game.
Agreed.
I think what would make it better for me is if we get like a Frost and Starlight for Crescent City, because I still want like that coziness just living with them.
Right.
Yes.
Understanding their personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't get a lot of downtime.
They don't.
They
They have, like, no
don't.
downtime. I think they watched one Sunball game, and like that was all the downtime they really got.
Otherwise, they're like running around saving the world, and then like they get to sleep, and then next day they're running around saving the world again.
Yeah.
Did we all read the bonus scenes?
I didn't read all of them yet, but I do have access to all of them.
I didn't read one, not one.
I read
I feel
one.
bad.
I think I
read them
read
all, but I will.
1 or 2 of them, maybe.
If you read the bonus scenes, like all of them or a few of them, which ones did you like the best? Like I think there was what is it, Nesta and Bryce.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was a what is it? Rune and
I wish
Oh
I
my
would have
gosh.
gotten that edition,
I was
Lydia.
gonna say,
I
I
know
think that's
everybody's
the wedding
saying
one.
that now.
It is
I
the
read
best
it.
one.
Is
I
that
liked Bryce's mom. I liked
That
her.
one was sweet.
Yeah.
See, and I feel like we're gonna see them in ACOTAR, the next ACOTAR, because they're chilling in that world. Like we're gonna see them.
they became friends really quick? Like, how long was Bryce's mom chilling with Nesta? Not that long, and they seemed
doesn't-
really close.
Doesn't time go by differently there?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought we realized it didn't.
I thought it didn't, and I thought it should have.
I thought we realized when she goes back to the Autumn King, she's like, "Oh, good, time doesn't
Yeah, that's
go
Oh,
differently."
that's right.
Oh, okay. I thought it was different. My bad. I thought they were gonna be like a week over there because when the ACOTAR book comes out, they're gonna just be because they're humans in a half human, half fae world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it should have been done like that, like time passes
Yeah.
between worlds, but like Jess said, it was confirmed that she came back and the same time had passed.
Oh, bummer.
Oh well. All right. Well, thank you guys so much
Thank you
for coming and
meeting
chatting
you all.
about this book. All right. Well, thank you guys also, everyone in the comments and everyone who read this. Yeah. So talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.